going to be any day in which the lighting isn't fucking awful. Hi, welcome back. It's May already. Can you believe it? April went so fast. I have no idea what I did in April aside from reading some hefty books. I've calmed down since March. March was insane. I don't know what came on to me. I read so many books, but actually looking at all the books that I've read this month, they're hefty. It's a lot of mangas, but the books that are, chunky. And we're going to start with the chunkiest. This month I have read the entirety of Chain of Thorns and Chain of Iron. I have a vlog for Chain of Iron and I have one in the makings for Chain of Thorns. But the views and response for the Chain of Iron one was kind of really bad compared to all my other videos, so I don't know if I should post it. So I'm asking you if you want to see my insane reaction, because this book was full of twists and turns to this book. I will post it or I'll scrap it, it's no biggie. Chain of Iron, boring as shit. The fact is that the protagonists are very, very boring. Their storyline with the whole bracelet thing, it was just so stupid, and it was all miscommunication and all James being very, very kind of dumb and prideful, and I really, really hated it. I would have loved for Anna and her whole storyline to be in the book, because she's not. She's just there like a two-dimensional character. I'm very sorry. I love Anna in the short stories. Here in this series, she's nobody. And then you have Alistair, and I love Alistair so much. He should have been a protagonist, for sure. Him and Charles are the most intriguing characters, and they are so underutilized, especially in Chain of Thorns, which was so much better than Chain of Iron, but still it really lacked in the plot department, in the relationship department, because the main one was so boring. They should have gotten together in book 1, and they lasted 3 books of angst just because of miscommunication. And I'm so sorry, because these are like Tess and Jem's children. This is the child of that series, and I'm kind of disappointed. So I gave Chain of Iron 3 stars and this one 3.75. Then I saw so many TikToks talking about the recent anime series Skip and Loafer, and I was like, I don't want to wait for the anime. I am going to read it all in one day. So I read 6 volumes of Skip and Loafer in one day. I cried 47 times. This series talks about a young kid who goes from rural Japan to one of the main Tokyo high schools, and she starts to befriend people. She starts to know what the city life is all about, and it's just about friendship and wonderful relationship between the characters, and it's so wholesome. It is what would have healed me in high school and middle school against the bullying that I received. It is very realistic. It is incredibly wholesome, and also the fashion in Skip and Loafer, it's so cute. I love every single outfit. They're all really fashionable in their own styles, and I don't know, I cannot recommend this series enough. Skip and Loafer is like skyrocketed onto my favorite manga series of all time. It's just so beautiful. I gave 5 stars to all the volumes. It was impossible not to love. Then, to combat all that warm feeling that I stored in my heart from reading Skip and Loafer, I read the first 3 books in the Magnolia Parks universe. Yay! These are super hyped books on BookTok, so the side of TikTok that talks about books. I am on it if you want to follow me. Maybe not in this lighting, but I read all 3. 600 pages books in 3 days. I was onto something. These books, I think, are laced with cocaine, because this is the only reason. I hate the characters. They talk about many different kind of relationships, all toxic, all completely toxic. BJ, it's called BJ. BJ Valentine and Magnolia Parks are this kind of super rich kids in London, kind of like a Gossip Girl situation. And they have the most toxic fucking relationship, and I hate them so much, but I have to know. I have to know how it ends. there's something in my mind that tells me you should not read these books. They're very toxic, but they're very well written. I cannot stress this enough. Jessa Hastings made me care about awful, awful characters that do awful things to each other. And then the second book follows another couple that was kind of boring. Christian and Daisy, I didn't really like, but I love Julian. The second book is about gangsters. They're still in the same group of kids, like super rich kids in London, but they're the gangster side of that whole richness. And then the third book goes back to Magnolia and BJ, and it was, oh my god, that book. They go to therapy in that book, which I was really surprised, and that's the thing that made me like it so much more than the other books. But it also like ripped my heart out. It was very sad, especially the ending. That was a punch in the gut. I gave Magnolia Parks 3 stars. I gave Daisy Haites 2.5 out of 5 stars. And then I gave Magnolia Parks The Long Way Home 4 stars. It was really good. It was really good, even though the relationship is still toxic, kind of. But they're working on it, and they're going to therapy, and people die. Why do they have to die? I don't know. Book 4 has just come out. It's called Daisy Hates the Grey Undoing, and I'm storing that for a lonely day in winter because that book talks about Julian, and I love Julian. He's so suave. He's so mysterious, and then I read something kind of really bad. So you know how I told you all that I started listening to trashy audiobooks, like romance audiobooks, to go to sleep, because I like people talking in my ear when I go to sleep. But I need trashy books. I can't with a fantasy. With a fantasy, I stay up until 4 a.m. So I read the first book in the Winston Brothers. It's a bearded love story because they all have beards. They are all misogynistic assholes though. So I can't remember a single plot point because there were none, but also because I was falling asleep to them. So maybe it's my fault, but the one thing I remember is him being an asshole to the main protagonist. So yeah, 2 stars. And then I decided to hurt myself. Yeah, I did that thoughtfully and in my own volition. And I restarted for the 5th time. Have an official blessing. This, if you don't know, is a Chinese web novel that got translated into English and published as a series of books, but it's like it's supposed to be read all in once, even though it's separated into parts or books. It talks about Chinese deities, and it's a love story that spans 800 years, but also a mystery. It's thriller at times, kind of horror at times. It's the perfect mix of a lot of genres to come into a wonderful and funny book that will punch you in the gut and then make you laugh and then kick you in the nuts. The thing about rereading this series is that you are 800 years in the future and people talk about the past in spurts. So you learn about some characters who you don't know are those characters from the past. And everybody has a lot of names because it's Chinese culture. And when you reread this series, you know who is who. And it's so much more painful because the seedling of the story are planted even in like the beginning 10 pages. This is such a well-crafted book, and the writing is very different from what you would expect because it's translated directly from Chinese, but I love it so much. It's very direct, very rich in the Chinese idioms, and I love it. I have the second volume. I'm going to start it like today. I am pumped. I don't want to read up until the past chapters, the flashbacks. I don't want to read them. Since this video is going to be on the shorter side, I decided to do a little bit of a TBR. I am a mood reader, so I never do TBRs, but this month I have some books that I'm super pumped to read, so I think I am in the mood to read them. So wait for me a second. So I have here a stock of books that I will probably read this month. So I am in the middle of L'Ordine del Tempo by Carlo Rovelli, who is a very famous physicist here in Italy. He's the author of the 7 Brief Lessons of Physics. This is about time. It's a little booklet about the origin of time in quantistic physics. If you can see, you cannot see anything. It's kind of complicated because time is complicated and quantum physics is complicated, but I love learning about quantum physics. I'm not a physicist, I'm an engineer, but physics is like my sweet spot. Then I have, of course, the second volume of Heaven Afflicts Your Blessing, who is very bright. My camera is not working with me today, but I'll superimpose the picture of the book here. It's the second volume. I did not look at the pictures, even though I know where the story is going to go. Then I have a video in which I read the first book of this series, that is like the Mirror Jumpers, Mirror Walker by Christelle Dabo. Here in Italy is La Traversa Specchi. I read Winter's Promise, I think it's called, and I'm going to read the second volume, which is very bright also because it's cold. This one is called Gli Scomparsi di Chiara di Luna. I cannot wait to see where Thorn and Ophelia are going to go. Thorn, I hope you rot in hell. I hate you. I hope you can redeem yourself. This is a very long book. It's 600 pages, so you have plenty of space to redeem yourself. Ophelia, I love you, never change. Then, in the newly appointed tradition that I'm going to start on this channel of Trashy Book of the Month, I'm going to read a trashy book a month because, you know, I have the audiobook thing going on, but I also have the physical copy because I somehow got it secondhand, even though here in Italy this book got translated like last week. I don't know what happened, but I got it secondhand, and it's the fine print by Lauren Asher. This talks about like a fanfiction-y version of Disneyland and the billionaire brothers that he inherited all the like theme parks and various random girls. And I know for sure that they are trashy and that I'm not going to like them for the reason that other people might like them, but I love trashy romance books. They make me laugh, and if they're not toxic in the way that I hate everybody and the writing is not good, then like Magnolia Parks, the characters were very toxic, but I love the writing and the story, so I give it a high rating. This one, I hope it's like trashy, but like in a fun way. So yeah, these were all the books that I plan on reading in this month of May. It's May! And all the books that I read in April. I hope you liked them. I hope you read some of them, and if you did, please let me know in the comments. And my phone fell. I was just going to say that I have socials down below that you can check out, and if you want to connect with me, I'm most active on TikTok, and also that I'll see you in the next video, which is going to be a very exciting vlog because I've made a community post and most of you people voted for either a dark romance read of the week or my most anticipated books. So I'm going to do my most anticipated books first, and then it's time for dark romance, baby. Goodbye. Mwah. Mwah.